All my friends from school are dead, except me. Some died of AIDS, of heroin overdoses, that kind of thing. Others, there's alcoholism. There's a couple of suicides. Two guys were murdered in gangland things, and one poor chap who stayed away from crime, ended up being killed on an Irish naval vessel when, during a storm, a lifeboat came, or merchant marine vessel, sorry, a lifeboat came loose and crushed him. So I'm like the last man standing, literally, of my friends from my teenage years. And we were a pretty intense bunch. There was one friend of mine called Tommy Farrell who had a girl living with him when he was 14. I mean, he wasn't like an asshole or anything. He was just like, he lived life incredibly fast. He was my friend for doing magic, and he had no limits. He had no limitations, and we were we were using rituals from David Conway's books and a few others, and we had tremendous success to the point where it frightened us. I mean, at one time a room started to go black, and we quickly abandoned it. But we were not terrified of it. We just knew that it was real. And so anyway, we were also in the Boy Scouts. Now in Ireland at that time, Boy Scouts, I don't know if it's still like this, was divided into Catholic and Protestant Boy Scouts, and because we were Catholics, we were in something called the CBSI, the Catholic Boy Scouts Association of Ireland. Some nonsense. And we were camping in a place called Brittas Bay. And it was the 81st Troop in Ballymun, and they were a pretty bad scouts group. I mean, the leaders were basically taking the money and spending it on the pub and stuff. It was really, really bad. But we didn't come out to care because we went to go camping in a place called Brittas Bay in County Wicklow, which is probably all built up in houses now. But back then was massive sand dunes, and behind it some farmers' fields you could camp in. And so we did that. And I can remember that we were in that troop with all the. There was a in that gap was hard men, like the local thugs, the local hard shots, hard shots we called them, and they would beat us up and everything. And it taught me a very early lesson in life that most people are pathetic cowards. I mean, when I say cowards, the whole thing of the last refuge of a scoundrel is prayer. I mean, the types that go, "Oh, sweet Jesus, oh, help me." Well, that's most people. I don't know how it is in other countries, but I would say in Ireland, the vast majority of Irishmen are cowards. But there is a sizable minority of Irishmen who are absolute and total warriors. And that's who've always held this country and fought for this country. The majority are whinging pussies who are terrified of change. But we're fortunate in the sense that we do have a sizable minority of men and women who will fight. Now, but the majority are pussies, and especially the ones who act hard and tough are pussies. And I found that out at that age. So we were camping with them, and there was a guy called Bango, piece of shit. And he was, one of these ones who was like, when we were all like that height, he was like that height. So what was he doing? Beating us all up. And Bango had his little gang of minions, and something happened, and he punched my friend Kevin Tucker right in the face. And me and Tommy Farrell, said, okay, yeah. They were all, him and his little gang were all staying in the one tent. And we said that we were going to raise up a demon and do black magic outside their tent. And they were all laughing at us. And around midnight, the fire was still burning outside the tent, and me, Farrell, and Tucker, we started to invoke demons, like pretending. We were starting to say things like, we summoned the dark forces from the abyss, because we had the lingo. We had been reading the David Conway books and stuff like that. We all this kind of thing, very dramatic, the classic performance in magic. There's three teenage kids, well, barely teenage, 13, Well, they all went silent, right? And then I got a bag of sugar from the camping gear, and I threw it on the fire, and it went like that, the granular sugar. And all those little hard shits in the tent started going, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." So, I mean, when I say screaming in terror, I mean like they were absolutely in fits of um, paralytic, frozen, uh, terrorized. They really believed the ritual. But the ritual did work because it terrified them. You see, the magic ritual still worked. It terrified them. And so they went the next day and reported to the troop leader that we did black magic and frightened all the kids. And we didn't. We just did it to them. No one else. We didn't do the other tents. And the kids in the other tents are all laughing. It was the hard ones who were all crying like babies. And what they did was they sent us home the next day. They put us on the next bus home, and our holiday ended soon. But taught me a lesson at a very early age of this cowardice. You see this cowardice on the internet, like you get these hard men who leave comments on YouTube videos and places like that. That they'd be like them. They'd be crying for. If I walked up to them on the street, they'd be crying for their mammies. They'd be screaming if I walked up and you want to take my fucking face now? They would be crying to their mammies. That's what they're like. They would be shaking, and that's cowardice. That's personified within man. Always see these people who say things like, "We need a revolution. We're going to overthrow the Illuminati," and all this kind of thing. Well, let me tell you, if the day that happens, the ones that you think are the ones who are going, "We need the revolution," they'll be at home going to the police. There's a fella down the road, and he's starting a revolution against the government, and that would be the one who would be on the internet going like that. That's so many of them are like. That's most of them are like that. Real warriors don't do that. They don't go on the internet going, "We gotta whip up the revolution. We gotta like do it." They just fucking do it. They just fucking do it. Understand? It's like magic. It's like I've never met a druid, but I've met plenty of motherfuckers with a staff and a cape, calling themselves, Oak and Starseed, whatever the fuck. They're not druids. They're just fucking fuckers trying to get laid off some, ratty new age tit bags with their nipples on their fucking kneecaps. That's what that's all about. And you get all these other types like, "I'm a shaman." "How are you a shaman?" "I did a weekend course in Glastonbury." "You're not a fucking shaman." This kind of nonsense. The real ones just do it. They just do it. Now, this cowardice is useful because you will always know them by their fruits. Now, a great way of measuring cowardice was that recent Alfie's Army thing. These people, they're all great with the, "I'm going to save Alfie," and all this kind of stuff. But when the push came to shove, they would all be scarpered and running. They're the biggest cowards of all. The biggest cowards of all. And always, that's the ones you look out for, the ones who are calling for revolution and stuff. They're the ones who are the biggest cowards. The real warrior moves in silence. The real warrior moves in stealth. The real warrior, male or female, moves through society, not looking for a fight. Not looking for a fight. And it was a great lesson to me that at the early age, because I realised they were all cowards, but it also made me realise the power of how you get into their minds. You can fuck them up big time. You can fuck them up big time. And it doesn't matter how big they are, small they are. You can use weapons against them. I'll never forget that guy Bango. He was an absolute scumbag. He used to constantly beat up smaller kids, and there he was going, "Oh Jesus, oh don't let the demons get me." The biggest baby of them all. But it was, and then went and squealed on me. I saw my camping holiday was ruined for defending my friend and the three of us. But we used to do things like that all the time. There was, I hope this is like a bit criminal, but one of the things we used to hate the Catholic clergy. There was priest in our town, which we suspected was a paedophile. Now, there was a place called Santry Lane, and there was a church called St. Papin's Church. It was a really old church, and there used to be there used to be something on in the evenings, and we decided to terrorize the priest. So I used to wear a white sheet and stand at the dark lane on Santry Avenue in the trees. Ironically enough, we discovered later on that was Thor's Wood. That was actually Thor's Grove. So we were getting revenge for the Christians attacking the pagans, destroying the pagan groves in Dublin. But we didn't know at the time, in Ballymun. And so I used to stand with a white sheet doing that on the side of the road. Just nothing else as the car just drove by, and you see the priest in the fucking car. A fucking car going like that, and the three of us would take the sheet off, bump into the woods. I always seem to end up in woods, and I mean, I've no regrets about that. I mean, it didn't cause an accident. It was just like, let's test your fate, Father. Let's really fucking test your fate. Now, he wasn't a nice priest. I would have done that to a priest. I've met a priest who, I had one priest when I lived in Tala who was a really nice man, and he helped me in a lot of ways. He got me a job. He got me a job in a restaurant that was actually very well paying. So they're not all bastards, you know, and they're not all pedos, but the ones that they're fair game. And I think back that now, it was magic as well, because at the time we didn't know it was Thor's Wood, and we didn't know he was a paedophile. He was exposed much later on. And so there was something in the three of us, our pagan ancestry came to the fore to play that trickster Loki thing on them. At a time we were only learning about magic, but we weren't really putting the two together. And so yeah, they're all gone now. So it's just me, and I'm going to be 55 soon. I'm an old fella, and they're all long gone. The last one probably died in the 90s, and so that's it. And it's like, why is life like this? Why does it do this? I think I'm feeling quite introspective. But we were warriors. We didn't have a pot to piss in. We were too short and skinny to be able to fight the bad guys, but we fought them in our own ways. And wherever those fellas are now, reincarnated, I'm sure that they were reincarnated as warriors. Thank you.